In 3, 2, 1.
Tell you if
This is what happened to me, because I know that you're being specific, and when you work in the gifts, I just feel like you're reading my mail.
can't
but
help
what ended up happening last night was...
And we're out of time. Adalis and Megalis will be right back. Thank you for watching Devotionals, and remember, Jesus is...
You know what? You guys do not call the shots here.
Thanks for listening to the Revival Today podcast with evangelist Adalis Shuttlesworth. To stay connected, check us out on Facebook and Instagram or online at revivaltoday.com. Now, here's evangelist Adalis.
Sorry, the mic was way far away from me. How you doing, everybody? This is Adalis Shuttlesworth podcast, and I'm still trying to figure out a scripture that I've been meditating on, and I can't find it. Don't you hate that? It's like I'm trying to find like little keywords, you know what I mean? As to like, you know, something that's going to like provoke me to think that way. Do you have to refresh that? Because it says what to do when you make a mistake. Oh yeah, that still says what to do when you make a mistake. We are talking today not about what to do when you make a mistake, because we already talked about that for my YouTube and our Facebook fam. But we are talking to you today about what to do when you have a setback in your call. What to do when you have a setback in your call. Something like that. I don't know what the title of this is going to be. Somebody come up with something. But it's like something like that, you know. What to do when you have a setback in what you've been called to do. And I'm going to read this question, avoiding the name, of course. so that you can see. And this is something especially for ministers that I think is going to help you out. But really, everybody's called to do something, huh? Am I right? Yeah. So whenever you feel like there's a calling and there's something in the way, what do you do about that situation? What do you do when you feel like you're to do something, but there is a roadblock? Sorry. What do you do, Max? I'll tell you the question first. So it says, I'm from yappity yappita, overseas, right? Last year, we decided to make the move overseas. And it's a nation that God has placed on our heart. However, we've been pressing and believing for my husband to get a permit for over a year now. And they just keep withholding it. They keep not either denying it or they're slow to process the permit. But this nation has not allowed for his residency, right? His permit for residency to come about. And they've been waiting for a year now. So what have they been doing? Glad you asked. They've been doing long distance relationships.
Wait, they're married or dating?
They're married.
Yeah.
So they've been doing the long distance relationship thing for, again, over a year. And they see each other.
How long have they been married, I wonder?
Over a year.
They've been married over a year?
Yeah. So it's a brand new baby marriage. It's a baby marriage. And so.
Wait a minute. So they've been apart from each other for the first year of marriage?
No. Can I finish?
Yes.
Can I finish?
Yes.
Okay. So they've been doing long distance for a year, seeing each other every 3 months. So once a month, sometimes every 3 months, just depending on probably funds. I mean, it ain't cheap to travel overseas.
Okay.
Or, you still need there's a certain allotted time that you can be in a country legally. So it's like they're kind of balancing this out. But for now, the better part of a year, they've been coming back and forth, seeing each other a month on, a month off, 2 months on, 2 months off, 3 months off, that kind of thing. And so she says, we've decided to keep at it for a bit, but I'm wondering, how long do I wait for the permit? And then she further explains, I feel torn because I know that I don't want to be apart from my husband anymore, but I also feel that this is something that God's called us to do. And I feel like I'm giving up on that thing that God has called me to do. And she says, our marriage is, don't get me wrong, don't get it twisted, Mags, because I already see your eyebrows furrowed.
Yes, my eyebrows are really furrowed. Yes, ma'am.
And she said, don't get it twisted.
Don't get it twisted.
We're in a healthy relationship.
Okay.
It's a strong marriage.
Yeah.
But she's saying, how long do I wait? And this is an interesting question. Maybe you haven't seen it specifically in this area of, getting a visa or a work permit or something to the nation that you are called to be in. But maybe it looks different. Maybe it's, I see myself, God has told me to do outdoor crusades, and I haven't seen that. And it seems like everything's working against it. What do I do? What can I do in regards to that? How do I stand? What do I do in the moment of what I feel like is there's a hindrance blocking my way? Max, go. I really want to hear it because you already had like the furrowed, and you can't see me, podcast fam, but Mags, her eyebrows, the corner top of her eyebrows done hit her nose.
Well, I think that we have to be intentional about marriage. That's what I feel like. And I think that you can go into it like super, like with a good heart and a pure motives, and then before you know it, it goes kaput. To be honest with you, you have to be intentional, especially for new marriages. And that's a biblical standard. It's not like mine. It's not my own. And the Bible talks about being newly married and setting aside the first year as holy and being with that person. In fact, they're exempt. I believe it's in Deuteronomy. Maybe not Deuteronomy. Maybe it's Leviticus. I don't know. But it says it somewhere that they're not even supposed, if you're a newlywed, you're not even supposed to go off to war. So I do feel like, maybe they did hear from the Lord. I have a couple of things that without knowing, these are very difficult questions to answer without knowing the person.
If a man has recently married, he must not be sent to war or have any other duty laid on him. For 1 year, he is to be free to stay at home and bring happiness to the wife he has married.
And then Mark 7 says, for this reason, a man leaves his family and is joined with a wife. There is something about leaving that is absolutely integral to the marriage. Now, there's so many different things that I don't know, so it's hard to even pinpoint like what the right answer is. And I think that's where these questions get a little bit difficult. Is she with her family? Is she staying by herself? Like all of these questions, I would ask if I was counseling. But we just basically don't have enough information. But to me, what I would do is, the Bible always talks about, your gift will make room for you. And I think that that's so important. Realizing that it's steps of faith. It's not a leap of faith. It's not a jump rather. It's steps of faith. And you have to take every single, and they're small, and in some cases menial. But before you know it, things are totally different. And so a lot of people want to see themselves already at the finish point without going through the process. And I feel like everything in life is a process, and you really have to be obedient. And I think that without knowing the situation, I don't know this person, I don't know, or like her goals or whatever the case may be. But I do think that there may be, if she is from this certain nation and if she is living with her family, those things can influence the voice of God in your life. Those things you can say, oh, well, I feel like I heard the Lord. Now I'm not, you know what I'm saying? So these are just things that I can say from the outside because I have no idea who this is. But basically what I am saying is that maybe do some self-evaluating. I think everybody should self-evaluate where they're at in life every single day of their lives. So, okay, so you feel like you heard from the Lord. Does that have anything to do with the fact that you live near your family? These are like solid questions that you have to ask. Who's speaking into your life? I would ask those kinds of things. But for the first year of marriage, and again, I don't know if it's their third year of marriage. I don't know what's going on.
I think it's their first.
But it's not a good idea to be apart from your husband that first year.
Let me tell you what I would do.
I'm telling you what I tell everybody. That first year of marriage was consecrated to my marriage. Literally, I died to myself that year. Because there's something happens in that first year of marriage where you're like, this is forever. I'm never getting out of this. Who am I? All of these, but you have to be around that person in order to know that and in order to see that. And there's a lot of give and take in that year. Okay. It was beautiful. It was a lovely year. Out of all of the years, it was my least favorite because it really exposed me. It was the road to Damascus experience for me.
Dear Lord.
The road to demask. Amen.
Okay.
And I was a mess. I was a hot mess. But we needed to work that out that first year of marriage.
Sure,
and I think that that's very common. It's very common in any marriage. But in order for you to do that, you need to be around that person.
Yes. That's solid advice from Maggie May. Stay with each other for the first year of marriage. Absolutely. Now, when it comes to feeling a call, right? Feeling like we both got together because we know that God has called us to this nation, and now it's out of our hands. It's like, I don't know. And from what I can perceive, this is a godly couple, and they've prayed and they've fasted already in response to this, problem. So and if you haven't, that's where I would begin is to really consecrate time in prayer and fasting. Because it's, there's just certain things that are held up to keep you back. And so if you feel that you have a mandate to that nation, then you don't give up and quit and say, well, we'll think of something else to do. You have to take time every single week to pray, even a day. Even a day a week. Because if you really got the call from the Lord to go to that nation, he will make a way for you. And it takes me to Hebrews 13:21 that says that the great shepherd of the sheep, he equips you with all you need for doing his will. I want to say that again. When you're dealing with a setback in the call of God in your life. So I don't know what that call of God is.
Go ahead.
It might be ministry. It might be, a business. Whatever the Lord has called you to do, it says in Hebrews 13:21 that the great shepherd, Jesus,
yes,
he equips you with all you need for doing his will. So the time to try to figure it out and freak out because things aren't going according to plan,
right,
that goes away. Because you rest in knowing he who's called me will equip me.
right.
So I don't ever have to try to, position myself to freak out about it or make a plan B. I just make do with what is available to me at the moment.
Right.
If they could, they'd go up into that office and stamp the approval and give them the visa, I'm sure. But they don't have that opportunity afforded them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if you take time to pray and fast because there was a time when the Lord said, this is for you. You are to pioneer a movement. You are to do that. If you find yourself in that, and I'm talking now to ministries, to ministers of the gospel of Jesus Christ, you need that. Mm-hmm. You need that assurance where you can say that there was a time I had an assurance of what I was called to do because I knew the blessing resides in where you are geographically. Right?
Correct.
Even the prophet. There was a blessing where the Lord had called him to go to, where he provided him everything to sustain him through the ravens. And they brought him food. And there was water to drink, even in the middle of the famine that hit the whole nation. And God said, if you go here, I take care of you here. And when he got direction to go to the widow in a different location, he went after it. He just pursued it. He went. And then it says that valley where that brook was flowing dried up.
Come on.
And so you go to, geographically speaking, it's important where you are because that's where the blessing will flow. So just be sensitive to what God and where God is positioning you to go to. So at the moment, I wouldn't even sweat it. I wouldn't, because if I'm called to, Mexico, and people were holding up that thing, but I received a mandate of God to go in and take that nation. I don't have to like finagle, no, I just rest in knowing he's got it all taken care of.
Sure.
I'm going to do my due diligence and praying and fasting and seeing that stronghold is broken.
Yeah.
Everything that's like holding back the answer, right? Because it says he will equip me for doing his will. And for what? May he produce in you, through the power of Jesus Christ, every good thing that is pleasing to him. All glory to him forever and ever. So we understand that it takes, us positioning ourselves to not give up and quit on the call, but also to not freak out about it when it doesn't happen. Because it's just a matter of time before that does happen. So I'm going to be faithful with what I have now. And I'm not leaving my husband.
Well, very
ain't leaving
important.
you.
Very important.
So I know
that's
priority.
That's a detriment.
That's
I'm not trying to be cute about that.
No.
Like that's just a solid detriment. You need to be around your husband. And I don't care if she has founded a church and has a congregation of 1,000 people.
Yeah.
If she is
doesn't,
apart from her husband, she needs to go back.
Yeah.
Until that thing opens up for you.
Me, and she said, what would you do in that situation? What would I do is look for the next opportunity given to me. Because when you start a ministry, like the beginning stages of ministry is, time.
Listen, I have to interrupt because this is burning a pit in my stomach. And I have to say it. When you receive a mandate from the Lord, 99 times out of 100, the road leading there will not look like what you expect it to look like.
Sure.
When people see you and Jonathan, everybody wants to be an evangelist. But they have no idea what it took for you to get there. Right?
Right.
There was some times where it was ugly. I'm just going to be straight up.
Sure.
It was ugly. But in your mind, let me just use you as an example. Did you ever feel like,
I'm not doing the will of God?
there's never.
Never.
And was there ever an opportunity that you said to yourself, like, I don't understand why the Lord's closing this door of opportunity?
No. I guess I just never, if I knew that there was an opportunity that was closed, then I knew that it's preparation for something greater. Or not, you know what I mean? I guess I never, it's just all how perception. It's all how you see it. So it's like, I knew, like when I married Jonathan, that he would be the next Billy Graham. In my heart, that's like the only way that I can liken it to, because I knew, like, this guy is going to shake America.
And has that ever wavered?
That has never wavered.
Never.
And we didn't have the bank account. We
To
didn't
prove
have
it.
the
You
ministry.
didn't have anything.
We didn't have the meetings. We literally didn't have anything to prove that the call was valid. But the call was there. And the mandate was there.
I say that because I feel like a lot of people think that they can figure it out. And it's just like, just let God be God. And so there was a lot of times where, you can let your emotions get in the way of things. And really, the only people that kind of like waver are the people that may or may not have really heard a thing.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, but I also think
when Brother Rodney says, how did you know that you got a mandate from the Lord? Well, how would you know if you got stepped on by an elephant? You would know.
Yeah, yes.
And that unwavering thing is just an indicator,
right.
I feel. Like to the fact that God has deposited something different in you.
Yeah.
There was never that untakeable, well, I don't know why this door is closing. You would never have that frustration. You would just think, all right, the Lord is just rerouting us.
Right.
That's it. But we're going to end up here anyways.
Sure.
And so I don't know. Yeah.
And I think that is important to understand that, like, sometimes it might not look exactly how you want it to be, but you'll get there. If it's mandated from the Lord, he's not a schizophrenic
But
God.
you can't put the cart before the horse.
Say
you have
that
to.
You've been called to Mexico,
right,
and shut the door on that and like never get you in there. That's not a thing. Like, if you are going to minister and be a gospel of Jesus in a certain area, he will make a way where there was no way. He will make the crooked path straight for you.
Yeah.
So there's no worrying about it. Do you know what I mean? And so right now, what you should change your perception, change your focus. Okay, so this isn't happening right now. What has afforded me right now? What is this? You know, so if it's to stay in the States for a couple of years so that we can further prepare ourselves
Yeah.
for ministry overseas. That's not a small feat.
No, not at all.
Ministry overseas. I mean, America really does favor the gospel of Jesus Christ, whether you know it to or know it or not. So it's a favorable thing to start, but some countries it's not a favorable thing. Ask Pakistan. Ask. You know, China.
Iran.
See if you could start a nonprofit. You know,
Nonprofit.
it doesn't exist. That doesn't
exist.
even exist. So what I'm telling you is, at this point, you make first things first. My marriage comes first. We need to be unified together. We need to work together. We need it. It's important for us to kind of mold and mend into one.
Your relationship with God comes first. And then your marriage comes second. And then your kids and your family comes third. Is that right? Is that how you would?
I would classify that as
Yes.
correct.
I would say refocus on your marriage.
So you refocus. You know, make first things first.
That's the most important thing.
Our marriage trumps, you know, what this ministry is going to undertake. Our marriage is more sacred to me than you getting a visa to that country and us, like, you know, starting it over there. No,
I would dare to say that there is something about that. If that is an okay thing, I wouldn't. Every day of my life, I would.
No, I wouldn't.
Yes, I would.
No, because sometimes people just have a setback. That's it. And I think that if you would allow it, you could start getting in your head about it. And you know what?
There's something that sounds off about it, though.
And about what?
About being away from your partner for that long.
I don't think.
I do.
I don't think.
I do. It sounds off.
If they went forward to this place, and the paperwork,
I just literally couldn't imagine.
Can you just listen? If they came together under the guise of this is what the vision is, and they approached the situation, and then government came in and said, no, we're not allowing that.
Oh, wait, are they blocking her from going back to the United States?
No, him from going to where they feel called to minister.
Oh, yeah, no, I still think it's weird.
So I don't think, because I do believe that there are major hindrances to a call, and how to deal with those things.
I guess I don't know enough about it. Mm-hmm.
If that door does shut, then regroup, recalibrate. It's an easy fix. It's not something that is gonna be like, that's a major no.
Like, is she
fix.
like working right now in the ministry in that country?
Don't know. I don't know.
See, so I don't know enough. Like, I would want her to be established. Maybe they have a operating church, and then maybe I'm like misunderstanding. But if they have none of those things, then there's a bigger problem at hand.
Yeah,
because if she's not pursuing kind of ministry in that country,
right,
and she's just living her life, and they're living two separate lives, to me, that's a big red flag.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about the situation, and that's where these questions get a little weird.
And you really dig deeper.
I dig.
You really dig deeper. Yeah.
But I would say marriage number one.
Yeah.
Go back and you figure that out until the Lord makes a way. Then you'll walk through that door
and
that He opens.
Again.
But not before that.
Preparation time is never wasted time. So if it's just for the season to prepare you for what's about to unfold in your life,
training,
then you go back
training
to
time
the States.
is the best time.
You join up with your husband.
Training time is the best time. So that's all there is. It's not a wasted step, but I would definitely get to step in, get back to your husband.
Romans 8:28 says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according
and let me say this.
to His purpose.
Yes, it's true.
So we know that in all things, if you love God and you're suffering some type of setback from ministry and you're not fully seeing it manifests in your life, you rest in that, knowing that God works everything out.
Everything
for the
out.
good of those who what? Love him.
Love him.
So if you love him, you know his word, you keep his commandments, you put him first.
And I don't want you to think that I'm like I can't do anything without my husband. I am probably one of the most, when it comes to marriage, very kind of more on the liberal end of the spectrum, where it's like I don't see my value in my husband. I find my value fully in Christ. And there's certain things where I always say, a woman should take pride in having her own business. She should take pride in being, a unique person. Amen. But the union of marriage is very, very important. Submitting. Okay. That used to be a bad word for us coming from Massachusetts. Submission. I mean, there is a blessing that you open the door to blessing when you submit to your husband, when the union of it. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I'm when I travel, most of the time I travel by myself, but I would never leave for more than, a week at a time, because I feel like, I hate to even want to say it, but like a woman's place, but there is a role that a woman has to play in a marriage. Mm-hmm. And, to depart from that is really dangerous. Very, very dangerous. So anyway, I'm just going back to that. I'm
Hebrews
just feeding into that.
10:23 says, let us hold fast the confession of our hope without wavering, for he who promised is faithful.
He's going to do it.
He's going to do it. If he called you, he's going to pull you
and
through.
he doesn't need your help.
So just sit pretty.
He gonna
Make
do
first
it.
things first. That's my advice to you. Whoever that is. I know who it is. It ain't none of your business. That's my advice to you. Hold fast. Be unwavering when it comes to the promises of God, because he will accomplish that which he started.
You didn't even eat the frosting?
That was too much frosting.
That's messed up.
That was too much frosting.
That's a Georgetown cupcake that you just
too much frosting.
Ruined.
And it was delicious. So when you do suffer a setback, it's you're in prayer, you're in thanksgiving, you're holding God in remembrance of those things that he did promise you. You know what, Lord? I know that this encounter that I had with you, that wasn't something that I made up. I know that you've called me. So because you've called me, you will equip me. And I hold fast to that. And because I'm not seeing that right now, I'm not going to have a misstep. I was just thinking about Oyedepo. And he was going into a different country. And they said, you can't come into this country. And he said, all right, book me a flight back home. It is no sweat off my back. Like, I'm doing this to bless your country. Do you know what I mean?
Fact.
So it's like, he ended up getting into that country because it's like, I'm not here for anything else but to pursue the call of God. And if anybody hinders that, I continue to pursue the will of God.
Yeah.
I continue to stand steadfast in the approach of all things ministry.
Come on.
I will continue to sow the seeds of my preaching. I'll continue to sow seeds of preparation for my future. And I will hone in on the things that are available to me. And I will put my finger on that and say, from this point is what God has given us to flourish, to open up that door. So no, I know from the beginning, Jonathan and I did see the mass crusade evangelism. But in 2004, 2006, we could barely fill a tank of gas up. And you want us to go and do a massive, it didn't happen. That's not to say that the call isn't there or that it was wrong. You know what I mean? That it wasn't, if we had just said, you know what, because we're not in it, it obviously wasn't the Lord. No, we continue to show ourselves faithful in the little. And then God continued to open up the greater. So I don't know what it is. Maybe get back to the drawing board and say, okay, like, I'm not going to leave you anymore. We tried it. We thought we would get it a lot sooner than what, was expected. And they're still holding it off on us. So we're not going to focus in on the negative. We're going to focus in on this ministry. Let's come together. And you know what we can do?
What?
Go on Facebook Live and do a ministry thing over there.
Yeah.
Advertise it to these different countries or whatever, and we'll start there. Who knows? The Lord might open that up via internet. There's so many ways and avenues of approaching something. So just start with a little. Start with what you have. Keep first things first. And make plans to eventually get there. But right now, if I don't see that come to manifest, it's okay. We're going to get back to the drawing board and do what the Lord is opening up for us to do right at this moment. And in fact, we're going to do it with everything we've got. We're going to really position ourselves to throw ourselves fully into the ministry. Maybe it's for another ministry, working under their ministry, and seeing to it that, their vision is lifted up. We're going to make this ministry, before we go into our ministry over in Mexico, we are going to position ourselves to sit at the feet of this ministry, make that vision our first priority, and put them first. That's what I would do.
Good advice.
But I would sell whatever I got to sell, and I'd get back home with my boo thing, especially if you can. Go back. I don't even know what her situation is. If you even have the legal documents for that, that's another episode. Then you're really going to have to pray and believe God to release that.
All right. Well,
whatever. So good. Be encouraged. You haven't missed it. Stay where you're at. Be faithful in the little.
refocus,
regroup. You got this. Maybe it's not right now. You haven't given up on the call. Maybe it's not, you're not seeing it manifest at this very moment. That doesn't negate that God has called you to it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't. It just means that it's, all right, it's going to be a process. If he called you
to it, he'll get you through it.
Oh, Lord. So.
If he called you
that's what you
to
ought to
it,
do. Don't
he'll
give up.
get you through it.
Don't give up. Continue at it. Be faithful to the call. Don't give up. Don't quit. Don't give up and don't quit. And stick with your spouse.
God bless you.
Peace.
Deuces.
This isn't a devotional, but I guess it just turned into one. Bye.
Hey, this is Jonathan Shuttlesworth. I want to thank you for listening to my podcast, or if you're listening to my wife's, thank you on her behalf. If you want to be more than just a casual listener and stand with us as we take the message of the gospel of Jesus Christ to our generation, go to revivaltoday.com and click Give Now and be a part of the 1,000 monthly partners that we're believing for. I have a special gift that I'll send to you today, and I'll say thank you in advance. Until next time, thanks for listening. See you later.